Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're stepping away from maybe the usual laughs you associate with stand-up comedy. We're looking at a really devastating story.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy stuff.
It weaves together comedy, that kind of rock and roll intensity, shocking tragedy, and this secret betrayal that lasted for decades. We're talking about Sam Kinison, the screaming comic who just burned so bright and so fast.
And his best friend, Carl above.
Exactly. His opening act, fiercely loyal friend, but as we'll see, maybe Kinison's greatest victim in a way.
It's a complex relationship, to say the least.
So our sources, they really lay out Kinison's, meteoric rise. You know, how he went from this small-town preacher's kid to this confrontational, high-voltage comedy force.
Right, we have the biography, the career milestones, all of that.
But the real mission here for this deep dive is digging into the human cost.
Yeah, that's the core of it.
We've got the details on his explosive career, sure, the fatal car crash that killed him, but then there's this staggering story. Almost unbelievable, really.
The paternity scandal.
Yeah, that came out years later and just consumed Carl Above's life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that's the challenge, isn't it? Connecting those dots. You've got their shared rise in comedy, then the shared trauma of the crash, which LaBeouf physically survived. He was in the car.
Right there. Witnessed it all.
And then almost 2 decades later, this devastating personal fallout hits LaBeouf. Financially, emotionally, just ruinous.
It's easy to just remember the stage persona with someone like Kinison, The scream.
Totally. That's the icon.
But this forces you to look past that to the real wreckage left behind, wreckage that LaBeouf had to carry for so long.
Yeah, for decades.
And that persona, wow, it was powerful. Kinison, the EXRV, he even had it on his license plate, right? On that Corvette.
Yeah, the 86 Corvette, it was a statement.
A total lightning rod. His comedy was just raw, uncomfortable, and always punctuated by that scream. It felt like pure confrontation.
It really did. And LaBeouf was right there through it all. Born in Fort Worth. He wasn't just some hanger-on either.
No, definitely not. He was successful in his own right. One of the original outlaws of comedy.
Yep. Credits on Seinfeld, Roseanne, Leno. He had a real career.
But yeah, in people's minds, he's forever linked to Sam. The constant presence just off stage.
The loyal friend.
Okay, so to really get Kinison's whole explosive thing, you kind of have to look at where he came from.
Absolutely. It's key. Samuel Burrell Kinison, born 1953 in Yakima, Washington, but he grew up mostly in East Peoria, Illinois.
And the defining thing there was the church, right? Pentecostal background.
Deeply. His father was a preacher, and Sam himself, he preached too, from age 17 to 24, something like that.
Wow, and that's not just like a fun fact. It seems like it's the blueprint for his whole comedy style.
It really is. People found recordings of his old sermons later, and the resemblance is, well, it's kind of eerie.
The whole fire and brimstone delivery, the shouting.
Exactly. That style meant to, stir up the congregation. He basically just swapped the pulpit for a microphone and aimed that same energy at, well, everything else. Marriage, religion, daily life.
He learned how to command a room, maybe even terrify it a bit, in church first.
Pretty much. Though his brother Bill apparently said that early on in the ministry, Sam actually lacked stage presence. Focused only on the words.
Oh, interesting. So the performance aspect developed.
Seems like it. But the source of that famous rage, that might go back even further, there was physical trauma.
Yeah, I read about that. He was hit by a truck when he was really young, like 3 years old.
Yeah. And it wasn't minor. It apparently left him with documented brain damage and epilepsy.
Okay, see, that changes things. That suggests the volatility maybe wasn't entirely a choice or an act. It could have been neurologically rooted.
Could be. And then add the emotional stuff. His parents divorced when he was 11.
Mm-hmm.
According to his brother, Sam took that really hard. Huge protests, feelings of betrayal.
Mm-hmm.
That childhood anger apparently festered and grew into the adult rage we saw on stage.
So the stage anger was maybe just unprocessed childhood trauma exploding outwards.
It's compelling theory. So he leaves the ministry. When does he actually make the jump to comedy?
Looks like around 1980. It was after his first marriage to Patricia Adkins fell apart.
Well,
and he lands in Houston, Texas, which was a hotbed for a certain kind of comedy back then.
right, the Texas Outlaw Comics. That scene.
Yeah, let's talk about that for a second, because it wasn't just a random group. They had a philosophy almost.
Definitely. It was a rejection of this sort of clean, jokey, set-up punchline stuff that was dominant.
More confrontational, more real. Even if it was ugly. Bill Hicks came out of that. Ron Schock.
Riley Barber, Steve Epstein. Yeah, a really influential group, focused on just hitting the audience with reality.
And Kinison was, like, their point man.
You could say that. Bill Hicks, who, became this huge icon himself, said Kinison deeply influenced him.
What did he say specifically?
Hicks said Sam was the first comic he ever saw who did not in any way ask the audience to like him.
That's huge for the early 80s. Most comics needed that approval.
Right. They were looking for validation. Kinison was basically demanding you deal with his reality, like it or not, aggressively unfiltered.
So he takes this new style, this energy, to L.A. in 1980.
Yep. Ends up working as a doorman at the Comedy Store, which sounds kind of cliche, but
it was a notoriously wild time for him personally.
Extremely wild. Deep into drugs, alcohol. The sources mentioned cocaine, freebasing. It was bad.
Personal chaos mirroring the stage chaos.
Pretty much. And it apparently took his brother, Bill, stepping in again.
To manage him.
Yeah, kind of impose some structure, get him focused. And that intervention seems to have paved the way for his big break.
Which came in 85.
Right. HBO. Rodney Dangerfield's 9th annual Young Comedian Special.
Dangerfield knew talent, especially volatile talent. That must have put him on the map instantly.
Oh, absolutely. Catapulted him. The critics noticed immediately. The New York Times, Stephen Holden, called him savagely funny.
And he nailed the core theme, didn't he? Calling it the primal scream of the married man.
Perfect description. Relationships were his bread and butter, or maybe his raw meat.
And that leads straight to network TV. Letterman, 85.
Yeah, and that famous warning from Dave. Brace yourselves. I'm not kidding.
Just telling you up front, this isn't going to be comfortable.
Exactly. It cemented that dangerous edge.
Yeah.
And he leaned into the whole EXRV thing, using his past to take shots at religion, the Bible. It was the ultimate rebellion against his upbringing, played out on national TV.
With that license plate reinforcing it every day.
Yep. And right there, riding shotgun through all this, figuratively and sometimes literally, was Carl LaBeouf.
The stable force. 5 years younger. Had his own career going, but mostly known as Sam's opener. His guy.
The anchor, maybe? Tied to this hurricane of a personality.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
And the more famous Kinison got, the wilder his personal life seemed to become. Or maybe it just became more public.
Right, and it all fed back into the act. His divorces from Patricia Adkins and then Terry Marsay, that was prime material. Dark, but prime.
Absolutely. But then things got genuinely tragic off stage. In May '88, his youngest brother, Kevin, died by suicide. He was only 28.
Oh, man. That had to have just shattered him.
Reports say it devastated him. And think about that context. You've got the childhood physical trauma, the epilepsy, the addiction issues, the pressure of fame. And then your younger brother takes his own life. The amount of personal darkness Kinison was wading through, it's hard to fathom.
No wonder the comedy was so dark. It wasn't just an act. It was coming from a place of, genuine, deep-seated misery.
It seems that way. And that misery, or maybe chaos, just continued, right up until the end. He married Malika Swery just 6 days before he died.
April 4th, 1992, Las Vegas. Right after his second divorce was finalized.
Yeah. But even that relationship wasn't simple. It had its own major public scandal just before the wedding.
Okay, yeah, we should touch on that. The 1990 incident, Swery accused a bodyguard Kinison hired.
Right. She alleged rape, said it happened while Kinison was asleep in the house. The bodyguard claimed it was consensual.
And the legal outcome was murky, right? Jury deadlocked.
Yeah, charges were eventually dropped. But people in Kinison's circle pointed to that whole ordeal as a real wake-up call for him, a moment of crisis.
Did it lead to any changes?
Apparently it did. It reportedly pushed him to try and get clean. He joined AA. Started telling audiences around March 1990 that he'd quit getting high.
So a genuine attempt to clean up his act, to escape the wreckage.
It seemed like it.
Yeah.
But the underlying volatility, it was maybe too deep.
Because then you have incidents like the one with Guns N' Roses.
Oh, yeah. May 1991. Slash and Duff McKagan.
What happened there? He got physical.
Apparently, Kinison was furious because Slash missed showing up for something at one of his gigs, found him at a hotel and allegedly attacked him. The quote is, he nearly choked Slash to death.
Wow. Just wow. A comedian almost killing a rock star over a missed appearance.
It's nuts. But it really highlights that tension, right? The attempt at sobriety versus this just uncontrollable rage simmering underneath.
Yeah, and that brings us to the whole controversy around his material itself, the legacy.
It's thorny, for sure. Looking back, people definitely point to misogyny, homophobia in his routines. And it wasn't just later reflection. There was backlash at the time.
For sure. Like that Queer Nation protest in Nebraska, February '91.
Right? In Lincoln, They were protesting his show, chanting, "Anti-woman, anti-gay, Sam Kinison, go away." This was organized opposition.
Not just bad reviews, but people actively protesting his message.
And even his own record label seemed uncomfortable. Warner Bros. Records.
What did they do?
On his '88 album, Have You Seen Me Lately, they put this really unusual disclaimer sticker on it. Apparently, employees requested it.
A disclaimer. Saying what?
It said, "The material on this album does not reflect the views or opinions of Warner Bros. Records."
Whoa. That's basically the label saying, we'll sell this, but we don't stand by it. Unheard of, almost.
Tells you how divisive he was, even internally, which sparks that debate, you know. Was he genuinely hateful? Or was it all an intentionally shocking character, like that New York Magazine article suggested in 2016?
Pushing boundaries, playing a role, it's a possible interpretation.
It is. But here's the tragic irony. Despite those claims of getting sober around 1990, the toxicology report after his death found tranquilizers and cocaine in his system.
Oh. So the sobriety didn't last? Or wasn't complete?
Seems not. The character and the chaos, they were just too intertwined. The attempt at reform might have been real for a bit, but the underlying reality, the fury, the substances, the confrontation that was him.
And through all of this, LaBeouf is there, witnessing it day in, day out, getting him on stage, off stage, dealing with the fallout.
Yeah, absorbing all that collateral damage.
So inevitably, all that chaos, it culminates in tragedy. April 10th, 1992.
Yeah. He and Malika Sori, they had just gotten back from Hawaii.
Yeah.
A short honeymoon.
And they were driving, just a routine work trip, right, to Laughlin, Nevada.
Exactly. Had a sold-out show book at the Riverside Resort Hotel and Casino, driving across the desert.
Needles Highway, northwest of Needles, California, in his Pontiac Trans Am.
Yeah, that iconic car.
Yeah.
And the setting, dark desert road. Sets the scene, doesn't it?
It does. And the crash, it wasn't minor. Head-on collision.
Right. A pickup truck, driven by a 17-year-old kid who, reports said, had been drinking alcohol.
Tried to pass another car, crossed the center line.
And just plowed right into Kinison's Trans Am. Catastrophic.
And the crucial detail, the one that connects everything for the story, Carl LaBeouf was in the car.
Yes, his best friend, his opener, riding with them. And somehow, miraculously, LaBeouf survived.
Sawyer survived too, but with injuries. A concussion, needed hospitalization.
Right. But Kinison, he was driving.
Yeah.
And he didn't make it.
And a key factor, tragically, was the seatbelt. He wasn't wearing one.
No. And that meant his head hit the windshield hard. But the really bizarre part is what happened immediately after.
Yeah, the witnesses said he seemed okay at first.
Shockingly, yes. Minor facial wounds, apparently. He actually got out of the car, sat down on the roadside, seemed lucid.
But inside, the damage was done.
Totally. The autopsy later showed massive internal injuries. Torn aorta, ruptured blood vessels in his abdomen, cervical spine dislocation. It was unsurvivable, fatal within minutes.
But before he passed, those last words, they're incredibly haunting.
Yeah, the accounts from witnesses, including LaBeouf, are just cinematic almost, and deeply strange.
He was talking, but not to anyone there.
Apparently not. He reportedly asked out loud, "Why now?" Then a pause. Then, "But why?"
Like he was arguing with someone or something?
Yeah. And then after another pause, and friends later interpreted this pause as him maybe receiving some kind of answer.
Okay.
He said, okay.
Wow. From rage and questioning to acceptance in seconds.
Yeah. One friend said, whatever voice was talking to him gave him the right answer and he just relaxed with it. It's quite an image. The ultimate rebel preacher's son having this final personal reckoning on the side of a highway.
A truly unbelievable end. And the legal side of it, the driver.
It feels disproportionate, maybe. The teen driver pleaded guilty to vehicular manslaughter with gross negligence.
And the sentence. For causing the death of a major star, injuring his wife.
1 year of probation, 300 hours of community service, and his driver's license suspended for 2 years.
That's remarkably light, considering...
It seems that way. So Kinison's gone at 38. Career cut short. But his legend, instantly solidified.
Yeah, the posthumous honors started rolling in. The Grammy in '94 for Live from Hell.
George Carlin dedicating his '94 special, Jammin' in New York, just saying, this show is for Sam.
Ozzy Osbourne saying he believes Sam was upstairs, he's next to God.
The world mourned the public figure, the icon. But meanwhile, you've got Carl LaBeouf, the survivor, left holding this immense psychological trauma of having seen it all happen right in front of him.
Yeah, the quiet guy left with the loudest, most horrific memory.
So for almost 20 years, that was kind of the narrative, right?
Yeah.
Kinison, the loud, tragic, flawed genius, Lebov.
Yeah.
The loyal friend who survived the wreck.
Yeah, the story seems settled. Horrific, but settled.
Until February 2011, nearly 19 years after the crash, this bomb drops. A revelation that just completely rewrites the story of their friendship and Lebov's suffering.
This is where it goes from shared tragedy to just jaw-dropping personal betrayal. It's incredibly painful to even talk about.
It really is. The news broke. Places like the Toronto Sun reported it. Sam Kinison had secretly fathered a child.
Okay. But with who?
With Carl Lebov's ex-wife.
Oh my God. His best friend's ex-wife.
Yes. And the really brutal part. For almost 13 years, Carl Lebov had believed this child, a daughter, was his. He'd been paying child support.
He raised her as his own, believing she was his.
Yes, for 13 years. She was 21 years old when Lebov finally managed to file the legal papers challenging the paternity.
How did they even prove it with Kinison dead for so long?
DNA. They got samples from Kinison's brother, Bill.
And the result?
Unmistakable. A 99.8% likelihood that Sam Kinison was the biological father.
Wow. Just devastating. So for nearly 2 decades, Kinison took this secret to his grave. Lebov's ex-wife knew.
And Lebov was living this lie, unknowingly footing the bill, emotionally and financially, for his dead best friend's secret child.
And the financial cost. It wasn't just the past support, was it? It got worse.
Oh, way worse. It became this crushing burden. He reported losing his driver's license, his passport. Why? Because he was deemed to owe over $187,000 in back child support.
Wait, back support? Even after proving he wasn't the father? How does that even work?
It's a really harsh aspect of the legal system in some places. Even if you disprove biological paternity later, the person who was legally recognized as the father during those years can still be held liable for the support that accrued before the paternity was legally changed.
So he was basically on the hook for a massive debt generated while everyone thought he was the father. A debt for Kinison's child.
Essentially, yes. He was trapped, financially obligated for money related to a child fathered in secret by his supposed best friend. It's just mind-boggling.
A financial purgatory. And the emotional toll. You can't even quantify that.
No. Lebov himself said that learning the truth, on top of the trauma of witnessing the crash, it just broke him for years.
How did he cope?
Well, initially. He turned to self-medication, admitted abusing alcohol, saying it's the only way he could even get on stage to do his comedy act.
Just trying to numb the pain of this unbelievable betrayal.
And it got darker. He reached a point during this period where he attempted suicide.
Oh, God. Kinison's actions, years after his death, were literally destroying Lebov's life.
Actively destroying it. Think about the layers. The guy was his best friend, his road dog, the man he was loyal to right up to the horrific end.
Surviving the crash with him.
And all along, Kinison had saddled him with this secret, this ticking time bomb of a debt, emotionally and financially, that lasted decades and nearly killed him.
It's almost impossible to comprehend that level of betrayal.
It really is. Which makes Lebov's eventual perspective even more remarkable.
What do you mean? How did he handle it long term?
He somehow found a way to forgive. He stated publicly he'd learned to forgive Sam for what he did.
Forgive that. That's incredible strength.
It really is. And even more amazing, maybe, he said he managed to maintain a good relationship with the young woman herself.
The dog.
Yeah. He mentioned she actually showed up at one of his stand-up gigs years before the news broke publicly. And he was able at that point to tell her the truth about who her biological father was.
So he gave her that clarity despite everything he'd been through. He still protected her, in a way.
It seems like it. That ability to move past such a profound betrayal, to still have a connection with the young woman he raised, it says so much about his character.
Yeah. The loyal friend turned out to be the one with the immense emotional strength to clean up Kinison's biggest, darkest mess.
So Carl Lebov, he kept going. Continued his comedy career, but always, shadowed by Kinison.
Yeah, you couldn't escape that association, professionally but also personally, carrying that huge weight.
His life really became about endurance, didn't it? Just surviving this prolonged, unbelievable adversity.
And he passed away relatively recently, April 23, 2021.
Yeah, died from cancer. At home in Las Vegas, he was 62.
Still quite young, really.
Yeah, definitely. And the tributes that came out after his death, they often hit on this contrast. His gentle nature versus the chaos he lived through.
Like Carrot Top's post.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The fellow Vegas comedian Carrot Top put something on Instagram calling Lebov one of the best today.
Yeah.
Not only one of the funniest talented people, but one of the sweetest.
One of the sweetest.
Right.
A sweet guy who endured the absolute worst of that intense rock and roll comedy world,
Right.
largely because of his best friend.
Yeah. It's a stark contrast.
So if we try to tie their legacies together, this whole deep dive kind of comes down to that intense, maybe toxic duality of their friendship.
Right. Kinison,
Yeah.
short, brilliant, explosive career, but ultimately defined by self-destruction and the wreckage he created.
And LaBeouf, a longer life, seemingly stable on the surface, but fundamentally reshaped, almost destroyed by loyalty to someone who betrayed him so deeply.
Kinison's legacy is often just boiled down to the scream, the persona. But these sources, they reveal something much more devastating. A guy whose public anger maybe came from private trauma, yeah, but whose private actions, his irresponsibility, set off this chain reaction, financial ruin, emotional crisis, all landing on the person closest to him.
And LaBeouf's quiet suffering, his near ruin, his eventual forgiveness, that becomes this incredibly sad, powerful footnote to the whole Kinison myth.
It really does. The devastating costs of loyalty. Hashtag outro.
So we've covered a lot. We've seen the rise of this comedic titan, Sam Kinison, and the truly astronomical price paid by his closest friend, Carl LaBeouf.
Yeah, it's a really stark reminder of how tightly fame, chaos, and betrayal can bind people together, even after death.
Absolutely. And thinking about the timeline, it's chilling.
Yeah.
The sources show that Kinison's family tragedy, his brother Kevin's suicide.
Yeah, that happened in '88.
Right, and that seems to have occurred shortly before the period when he would have fathered this child with LaBeouf's wife.
That timing is suggestive.
It leaves you wondering, doesn't it? Did that immense personal loss, maybe the ultimate feeling of betrayal by life or family, send Kinison into such a dark, self-destructive spiral?
But he became capable of betraying his closest friend in such a profound way.
Exactly. Was it lashing out? Was it just recklessness amplified by grief and addiction? We can't know for sure, obviously.
No, but it raises that fundamental question about artists, especially confrontational ones like Kinison. What does it mean when their life is defined both by this incredibly powerful public art
and by these secret, private choices that create decades of chaos and pain for someone else, especially someone who trusted them completely?
Yeah, the hidden cost of that outlaw persona, carried not just by him but by those around him, particularly LaBeouf, drowning in debt and despair because of secrets kept by his friend.
It's definitely the kind of tangled, tragic complexity that only a real deep dive into the sources can start to unravel. A lot to think about there.